out farther away and go through.
How about now? Better? I'm running for County Commissioner, District 3. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I was born and raised in Lakeland, Florida. I grew up in Zephyr Hills, Florida. I went to college at the University of South Florida, so go Bulls. And most of my work career was in Tampa. I was a derivative accountant for MetLife. And then first I was a staff accountant, and then I was a derivative accountant. And I've been an accountant for 27 years. I came to Charlotte County to kind of slow down a little bit. And then, of course, I worked for the county, and I look at the budgets every day, and I've seen all the waste. I've seen all the budgets get inflated, and I decided I could no longer sit behind the desk and continue to watch this happen. So I decided to run for office. My specialty is accounting, so I'll talk about a little bit about that in a minute. Janine covered a lot of stuff that I wanted to cover, but I'll add on to that as well. There are some other things I want to do while I'm in office. I want to look at our water quality. I live on the beach, so I've been here since 2018, and we have all these water meetings. We have all these committees, and yet my water has gotten worse, not better. So we may have talked a lot about it. We just haven't made any changes. There's people that know more about it than me, but it is something I want to look at. I also want to look at housing. I'm working right now with some groups to bring some affordable housing. It's shell units, so I think they're going to be more cost effective. I won't get into too much detail now about that, but I'm already working with some builders on that. I do want to talk about taxes, though. I won't talk so much about the millage rate and the property values, because Janine did cover that. I want to talk more about the budget. So since I've been in the county, I've worked on utilities. I've worked on public works. I currently work for public safety, which covers fire and EMS, animal control, radio, and emergency management. I've worked with human services, human resource, so I've touched just about everything because of my past experience. And I do know that there is so much fluff in our budgets. We budget first and then follow with where our taxes should be. And I'm going to look at everyone. The good news is when I get elected, I can no longer work for the county. I don't have another company. I don't have another business. I don't work for anyone else. So my focus is going to be 100% as a county commissioner. Other commissioners, they have businesses. They have other jobs. And we all know there's a lot of conflict of interest. I have to be a little careful what I say because I do work for the county. I would still like to get my paycheck for a little while, but I'm not going to hold back either. There are a lot of conflict of interest with the person that I'm running against. It's just known. You shouldn't be a builder and be on the zoning committee. There's just something wrong with that. So, but my budgets are the main thing, and I'll give you some examples. I think that's the best way to do that. Let me give you one example. So there's a fire station, Station 10. And this was pre-Ian. It needed a lot of work to get up to code. It needed about $450,000 to $500,000 to get up to code. I did the budget, so I know. So it got voted on. They didn't want. They said if we're going to spend $450,000, we might as well build a new station. So Station 10 probably gets a couple calls a week. So they decided to use sales tax money and build $4.5 million fire station. To have 2 people per shift in that station. I mean, that's just total waste. That's just a perfect example. And yeah, sorry. And in that fire station, and look, we love our firefighters. Everybody loves them. We respect them. We appreciate them. Thank God they're there when we need them. They're great people. Has nothing to do with them. Has to do with our leaders. There's 3 refrigerators in the fire station. because each shift can't share a refrigerator and their commercial. This is just the waste that I've seen. This is all I'm talking about, and that's actually why I decided to run for county commissioner. That's really, I'd rather get to what's that? I'd like to get to the questions because honestly, it's not about necessarily what I want to do. It's about what the citizens want. So I'd really like to get the questions so I can learn what the citizens want more than anything.
Thank you so much. So I'm going to start with the public, and we're going to go counterclockwise for this one, and clockwise the next, as I said. And a lot of these will direct the topics you're focusing on anyway. What is the proper role of government when it comes to Charlotte County Commissioners? What should they be focused on?
Since I'm a financial person, I believe it should be focused on providing services at a reasonable cost. I mean, that's just the bottom line.
That's great. Thank you. So I wonder if you can talk about the county commission. Are there a couple of things you might agree with that they're doing? And then conversely, are there a couple of things you can mention in particular that maybe you haven't already that you've seen that you're strongly opposed to?
So I agree when they don't vote on anything and they close the meeting. I think that's the main thing I agree on. What do I oppose?
Yes.
Well, they're rubber stamping the budgets. They look at, so our budget, again, that's probably going to get me in trouble, but our budget director likes to keep the commissioners at a high level, so they look at all the high level numbers. So that's all they see. They should be seeing the inside the budgets. What makes up those higher levels? So we look at the general fund. So what? What's that number mean? We don't know. It's the detail. Now, the people that do work in the office, they do know the detail, but I bet most people here and citizens don't see that. So I think they're doing that poorly. They're not communicating the details of the budgets to see really what is being spent in the county.
Are we good with the audience? Okay. I'm going to go on the right side here. Any questions?
The mic close to you.
Is it just going to be that you will vote against unnecessary expenses, or do you have the specific plan to do that?
Yes.
Any particular cuts to the budget?
So I want to look at every fund. We have thousands of funds. So there's going to be a lot of things that I'm going to be able to look at and cut. Specifically, go ahead. So there'll be a lot that I'll propose, but you have to have 4 other commissioners voting with you. So you really have to work with other commissioners to get it done. But I'm not going to vote for something that I believe is not right in our budgets. MSBUs. I'd like to, if I can touch on that, because it has to do with cutting costs. I don't like MSBUs. It's just one more fee on our tax bill. It's one more. They always say it's an assessment. It's not a tax. It's a service, but it's a tax. Anything that's on our property bill is a tax. You can call it what you want. So there are MSBUs that should not exist. So I'd like to eliminate some of that. But I've got to work with those guys. And hopefully we can put some other people in the office that I can work with. Did that answer your question okay? It's line item by line item. We have to look at that, and I'm going to have the time to do that.
There are 2 things that caught my attention that I want to follow up on to make sure I understand correctly. You mentioned 4 people. Do you need 3 out of 5, or in order to cut, you really need 4?
No, 3 out of 5. You're right.
Okay. So my quick follow-up would be, would you, if you were the only person on the commission that happened to deal with inflation when it came to budgetary items, would you be the vote on all of these bills expending money in your mind?
So I would be the only no vote, but I also am going to be vocal about the no vote. And I'm going to call out everyone that doesn't vote on it. I'm not here to make friends with commissioners. I'm here to get stuff done. You know, they're not my buddies.
Yeah.
We got to get stuff done. So does that
it
answer your question? Okay.
Yes. There's another that's not coming to you. I'll come back with that.
So, with the budgets, and it appears that the budgets increase over the 48%. And my opponent said, people see that, and they just don't understand. Could you help me understand? Maybe you can help me understand real engagements that people don't understand. Because it's very complicated, right? If it's not up 40%, it's not up 40%. Doesn't matter what shell game you're showing. You know what I'm saying?
Well, my first comment to that is that's just a way to evade the question. Because people understand that everyone here, I guarantee they know when something goes 40% that something's not right. So that's just a shell game. I think he's got maybe a follow-up.
Yes, let me ask this and maybe part of your question. So maybe when you're answering, I'll have to ask before, and I can follow up if I think I have noted this. Like, what is an MSBU? When they've had thousands of people come to a meeting and have room and let them all speak, people can understand MSBUs. For example, is there a way maybe you can connect with voters to make them understand the practical matters so it resonates with them? Much like that letter that was sent out, it caused a frenzy, and maybe you and we can capitalize on frenzies like this, even if there was a lack of understanding in the comments.
You want me to answer that?
I'm not sure where you're going.
A little bit related. When we had the fire assessment, we wanted to listen to I don't think that was fire, I think it was just a commission. I think they gave a lot less, and many of them think some analysts said they would be. Out of 25%, most of you think they wanted.
So some analysts? Yeah, no, the analyst for the fire is me. So, no, I'm saying that because I know what's in the budget. No, there's so much if you look at our reserves, they're always higher than what we're projecting our reserves to be. So those budgets, there's fluffs in there. We have equipment lines that we'll budget $500,000 for. We'll spend $100,000, but they keep the budget at $500,000 for that line item. Why? Because you don't want to take away somebody's budget, right? Because you'll never get it back. No, give that money back. Then you don't need 25%. You see what I'm saying? You say we have several equipment lines. We lower those budgets, and now you don't need that. So that's the bottom line. MSBU is multiple service business unit. And what it is it's just an assessment on some type of service. So like the fire service, I'm talking to this side only, sorry about that. It is just an assessment on a service, like the fire service. That's what an MSBU is.
I remember the part I was going to ask you, and I want to see your mind, and maybe you can incorporate it in the next question on what I'm doing. Is the thing that I mentioned at the county commission meeting is you have this cycle with teachers like me or any public service person, or it's corporatism where you have a company donate to a candidate, and then the candidate allocates funds to that business. You have people voting for commission, and then they might be a firefighter, and then they contribute to their union, and the union donates to the candidate gives them a raise. It gives them more money for the candidate. It's a cycle. If you could address that at some point throughout, before I bring it back to Hal. Is there anyone who thought?
Yes, yes.
Code enforcement. Yeah. Yeah, so thanks, Matt. Just get exercise in the. Yeah, so it's on my platform. That's one of the things that I want to look at every one of those codes, every enforcement. I'm going to have the time to do that. Can I comment on specifics now? No, but I'm going to look at everything, every code, every rule, everything we have in the county. I'm going to look at. So it doesn't really answer the specifics of your question, but. Everything.
Most folks know about the credit rate checks, where the derivative can 38 miles of field roads. We had an MCU. The commissioners abandoned us in 2021. Told us you're on your own. 38 miles. No drainage, no roads. But I still pay my taxes. I still pay for all my services that I don't get to see. What do you think you've done for communities such as that? I know what you did on Facebook. You've got your own MCU out there, which I know they recently jacked the price with. And how do you think they potentially address some of these issues where you have communities the county has walked away from, but provides zero services and still takes their money? Any way you provide relief or service to other communities?
So I don't know a lot about the ranchettes, but I think I can speak to Don Pedro. We have we have one specific MSBU out there that we have a very large fund balance, and our expenses on that are not even close to our fund balance. So something I'm going to, and this is not really answering your question to ranchettes, but I'm going to cover just the point. I want to do, for lack of a better word, a tax holiday. Instead of charging for that MSBU for 5 years, don't charge for it and fix the roads and get that fund balance reduced. So again, it's giving money back to the people that should get the money. If you need it in the future, then ask for it, because people understand when you do need stuff, right? When you need services. I just don't know enough about the ranchettes, but I'm going to work with the people. I know you know a lot about it, so I know the right people to work with it. It needs to be addressed. And the fact that it got taken away, whoever took it away, it should be known who took it away. We can't be quiet about this stuff any longer. It's what drives me crazy. You just can't be quiet. I hope that answered your question. That's why I said I already know, because he's told me.
I'll leave it with Tracy. This is FYI. Did you see all the questions from me and I have no more except the one on that earlier.
I also want to go further about my opinion. I'm on the other side of the road, and I actually own half of my road, and so the other people are vacated. The people behind me are vacated. They don't have nothing with their land, nor nothing with the road. So I want to fix the road, and the road behind me, I'm not going to fix it, I don't use. So it's actually been washed away. And this Monday, last Monday, we actually throw somebody out again. We're always towing people out of there. And we asked, I paid $2,000 to see the commissioners. Only to get told, and then one, it go on hold the road, and I said, please help me, please. And they all agree that they called me because it's a problem that way. And it used to be dry, you again, and you're water. And you're lose your vehicle. So my question is, there is roads like that we can be walked off. Even though they're being used by the county for maybe later development. But there's something for people. So our local plans to those type of roads that's out there. There's a lot out there. I've traveled it.
I didn't specifically have a plan until you just asked that question. I think, to me, instead of looking at those high-level budgets, they should be with our engineer at Public Works and talking about those things. They should be down at his development and not spending time on all these 30 committees. Look at my opponents. 30 committees. There's nobody that can do that and run for commissioner and do what needs to be done. It's impossible. And run a business. I don't care how many employees he has. So I would be in Public Works talking with the people that can deal with that. Does that answer your question, okay? That's a great question, so thank you.
If you don't mind my intervention, I'm going to finish that question on so I talked to you about that cycle of what I would call cronyism if it was private, but it's public cronyism, where you have the donations from the public sector to the candidates giving a raise, which leads to more contributions to the candidate, because it's a cycle of what would be at least perceived corruption potentially, if not corruption. Do you think that might be a problem, and how might you address it?
Well, it's definitely a problem, and it goes the highest level to the lowest level. I mean, Janine, everybody knows, right? I think you have to call it out. That's why I called it, even though I'm employed with the county, I called it out tonight, that my opponent's on all these committees, he shouldn't be, especially a zoning committee, and there's several others. I think you have to call it out. And the more you call it out, the more people hear it, they'll get these people out of office. Get Dave in office. He's not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I don't need money. I just want to make changes. I did this to make changes. That's it. So you just have to call it out.
I guess the question I got is, all the county staff and all that stuff that's up there, and that bleeds down into the city and everywhere else, do you think that there was any rearranging or any services within the county staff that can be cut? Any people?
You can.
Thank you.
So the first position is if I get elected, because I resigned from mine, so that's one. I'm joking. They're going to bring another person in. Yeah, there's a lot of positions. We see it in public works, in the utilities. And let me add some of that too. I also handle fleet. There are vehicles that literally have 8 miles a week used. I'm going to get in trouble for this one too, but again, if we don't call this out, it's never going to change. So, and we also have, and this is kind of not talking about people, but when you reduce budgets, you will reduce. If you reduce some of these MSBU's, we've got all type of financial people managing the finances of this MSBU's. If we reduce these MSBU's and get rid of the ones that we don't need and consolidate the ones that have too big of budgets, then we can get rid of staff. And it's not that we want to remove jobs. I'd rather have people in the private sector that actually produce something and then be efficient for the services we do need in the county, like making sure our roads are good. Does that answer okay, Carl?
I think that was very good for some people. Who's next? I think you want to get to the guy.
This is going to be a two-part question. My first question is infrastructure, okay? We have a lot of issues across the entire country that we don't touch on. The problem is that the builders are not paying their fair share. And the other part of that, the builders are usually under a shell company from an international builder, like Saudi Arabia. They're in our area, you need to know that. Right, so, right. All right, so we need to stop building houses and build businesses to bring income in. And that's something I'd like to have you guys try to work on. The second thing, why don't you guys have town halls so these people in the workforce ask questions, you can talk to us, figure out what we want from you guys, and get over it. Instead of bringing it, not being a time to talk, okay, what's just happening, in my opinion, is we ask a question and you answer. That's just common sense, but so, and I will shut up something by the way.
Yeah.
So, here's some of my questions, I'll solve those.
Clarify the first question again. The second one. So bring in business. Yeah. Yes, I want to start bringing in small business. They always talk about big companies. Usually bigger companies, the wages are a little smaller. If you bring in these small businesses, I think it makes a difference. It employs people. It employs owners. And I think it can be done. But you have to make it friendly for these people. You know, they make it friendly for Sunseeker, right? Maybe I shouldn't get into that, but you just have to make it a business-friendly environment. The second question, I think it's a great idea to have a town hall, and I think commissioners, once they're elected, should probably do it monthly. It's a great idea. I've never thought about it. I think it's a great idea. Dave, I think he would be on that. This is the first time I've ever done one, but you're learning a lot, just like what you just said. So, yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Making me wonder, I remember Dad talking about, if you could incorporate in the question about how talking about the licensing thing, that might be, who do you want? Do you want to roll out the rest of it or
Okay. Take it from what? Yeah.
Everybody in the officer has their budget, or their budget. When you're doing that budget every year, it's going to vary on the second month to my candidate, because October is the beginning of the budget year for the county. Now, when this is done, and people say, why isn't this being spent, that being spent? You don't realize that even the offices have to send money back to the county that doesn't get used that year. So in other words, every office is trying to spend the money, and it's spending on stupid stuff. I really, because I know, I have been elected with the budget and the going out. So it's got to be stopped. Just like you said, the facilities and we have our own gas pumps in town. And they just keep going, and some of the cars are working down here. How do you know?
Wow.
I'm sorry about that.
Well, I handle fleet, so now that you said that, yeah, I don't know. They shouldn't be doing. I mean, no. That's the stuff you have to look at. And I kind of lost your question out of all that. You got me caught up on the fuel thing.
But it's here.
Yeah.
And that's what I was saying, and with the budget and everything, and the county commissioners, they don't even work together. Like, you're going to be representing District 3, and people come to you for questions, and each one, but you're going to say, oh, the county commissioner will solve it over the time. Tell me one county commissioner does. It has not been done in your 15.
So I represent District 3, but all the county votes for us. So I should be down at the ranchettes helping them as well, and then not just be that commissioner. So even though I do have a district, I should be everywhere. And there's so much waste in our budgets. And like, for example, we get money back from the sheriff. It goes in this big general fund, which I think some of that general, we need to have a safety net, right? For when bad stuff happens, like a hurricane, or when the economy gets really bad. But we don't need an excess. And I think we have excess. So put it back in the coffers, lower the millage rate. Our property values are going up. I don't know so much now, and give the money back.
But yeah, give the money back to you, but then it gets spent where?
No, give the money back to the citizens. Because what are the citizens? Right, it's not happening. Well, what happens when we give it back to the citizen? They go and spend the money. We get the money back in sales tax, and it's the way the economy is supposed to work. It's kind of economics 101.
Thank you.
I want to add. How often? 8 to 12 times a day. All the time.
Can you
All the time. 8 to 12 times a day. Oh, the question is how often I speak to Gordon Berger. It's all day long. Gordon Berger, he's the budget director. Yeah. So all the time.
Is he your direct supervisor?
He's not my direct supervisor, no.
Because I think that every project, the first thing you have to do is find out if there's enough money for this and the time it's going to take. How important it is to the economy, things like that.
you just can't put it on a schedule because you budgeted 5 years ago. The important things are not being done. And I don't know how many more pretty important things we need to do. I don't see us building maybe River Road, but I don't see anything after that to be done. So it's, my suggestion would be that you go to zero-based budgeting and you start new every 2 years. And put it in there. Because, and you said you put down $500,000 or something, that's $500,000 that you can't play.
Yeah.
Things change on the dime.
Yeah.
And I think the worst thing that we have is the fact that we don't see decisions by the commission through the truth. I don't see anything turned down. I just see 5 to 0 or 4 to 1.
Yeah. I want to say just one thing is there are people in leadership role, and again, this is a very intelligent crowd, so I know you guys know this. I'm kind of repeating stuff you know. They're big government people. So if you wonder why these things happen, it's because these are lifelong big government people. And I think when I get elected, we need to make sure we get some people that aren't big government. The other thing is, now this is when I did public works, is we have the paving program, and they budget so much for the paving program each year. They can't get to I don't know about now. This was a couple years ago. I assume it's probably not changed much. They can't get to it. Yet they take those budgets and they keep rolling them over. If you can't get to something, the next 5 years you're not going to get to it. We shouldn't continue to carry those budgets. You have to give the money back, or you have to do something to get these projects in place. But if the money's back in the people, the economy works much better for everybody. So,
Thank you. Awesome.
Only there's a single question that I asked you about transparency. You have a instance where you have provided education on county at a time, where you're aware of them being okay. And it is you do great for them when they have very transparent.
I specifically haven't had any problems because I can get my hands on all of it. It sounds like there is a problem. I don't handle that part. If you're not getting everything I do, you can walk into my desk and say, I want to see everything on your desk. I have to give it to you. If you're not getting that, then there's not transparency. So if that's happening. If I'm carrying a pack of papers down the hallway out in Murdoch and you want to see those papers, I have to show them to you. If I'm not, it's not transparent. We started to have a transparency page. I don't know what happened. A lot of it, I think, went down when there was an attorney that was suing counties because they didn't have access. I don't want to tell the story the wrong way. I guess they couldn't access the internet and stuff. So I think a lot of the transparency page came down. I'd like to see that get back up. Somebody recently, we're now creating what we call a budget book, and actually, people have asked me for the budget book. I think it should be more readily available because it's got everything in it, every fund. So people that do want to dig down, it takes more. I can't do it by myself. We got to get the citizens involved to look at some of these things too. And somebody brought that up at a meeting that I was at the other night. They have a group that's looking at a lot of the funds in the county. So I actually want to try to put together some type of a committee of citizens in the different areas, and I got this idea from them, where we can look at it together, so you have more eyes looking at these individual, because there's so many funds. I think that's how you make it more transparent. C minus on transparency. And I'm probably a glass half full guy. Did that answer okay? Okay.
Just a note for all of us to remember, for those of you at MFBU, that first meeting where they had to put 5,000 and then it moved to the center where there was a lady from New York who's an auditor who had surgery before she came to this meeting, actually. Just for the record, she offered to audit the entire budget on our
I spoke to her. She's very, very talented, very smart. Yeah.
She blew my mind.
Yeah, mine too.
So this CEO guys, at the time of that meeting, I got her number and Gordon, that same window there. And those two people were in the gold line. And that lady, I emailed back and forth, she had health issues for a while, so she kind of vanished. But she reached out again recently. And
Have her reach out to me again. Yeah, because I did supply her. I'm sorry. You can't.
yeah, I already mentioned this to her, so I already know that reaching to talk.
Sure.
Thank you so much for that. Who's next? I know you want it.
Oh, we were just it doesn't make sense that I have to live in District 3, but everybody gets to vote for me. If I'm representing District 3, the people should be electing me to represent that area. So yes, that's a bit. You either have to have it one way or the other. Right now, it's how it is, right? Oh, maybe, yeah. So yes, without a doubt. And actually, I already thought about that. I'm actually going to put it on my website. So I'm putting together a checklist. That'll be a checklist. There's a couple others as well I'll put on there, but that's definitely one.
I have concerns about water, not just water quality, but the amount of water that we have available to us. It seems like housing developments just to throw in. I live near 776 and Westport has been developed. And I'm just thinking, where are they getting from for that? How would they support the water needs of hundreds and hundreds of houses, not to mention the traffic that we are experiencing because of all that housing? Do the commissioners ever think about these things? I wonder.
Yeah, so I think, I can't say how they think. I can only speculate what I think. They're thinking, build houses, put it on the tax rolls. Build houses, put it on the tax. That's the only thought. I think you have to think about all of it. Infrastructure probably should go in sort of before. That's just my way of thinking. So yes, I think you have to look at that first. There's another what's the Winchester? There's that other hoop. Yeah. So yeah, you need the infrastructure first, or at least get it well in place when you start approving these homes. I mean, how much are you going to build? Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay, so I want to ask you, because I found out the other day on reserves, the scenario for push on these reserves, because $100 million in reserves.
In the city?
$100 million. So that will last us 1 year. How much is enough in reserves?
$100 million for your budget's way too much. That's more than the county, at least for the general fund. You talking about the general fund? Yeah, so that's more than the county. So, you have to look at your total budget. I think a good number's 5 to 7. Our policy's more than that, maybe 5 to 7%. I don't know what your overall budget is, so if you do that math, it's definitely not $100 million. So that's just too much. We have a lot at the county that are that way. Way too much reserves. And if you give it back to the citizens. And then in the future, if costs go up just naturally, then you can ask for money back if you have to. But give it back to the people now and not just keep it in. And honestly, if you ever look at the interest made on that, I bet the citizens would like to make interest on that money in their own bank accounts. So we make huge interest on our investments. Even for the fire, I just looked at it the other day. It's a huge amount. So 5, 7. I think it's the clerk's office. I'm not 100% sure. Yeah. Yeah. Did that answer, Janine, okay?
That answer, no offense to either you guys, that answer, they want to keep it secret, who's investing, a lot of money. Because it's so easy to loan over really high versus if you all know the story, you reveal connections with investing versus the commissioners or the buy or other investments on secret. Okay.
Can I just add one thing? So there's different, when I refer to the 5 to 7%, I'm talking about general fund. Now you have infrastructure and stuff, you want to make sure you have reserves for that. So when roads go bad, so still the same philosophy, the 5 to 7. Still not $100 million or close. That's shocking. Yeah.
Anyone got?
No.
Would you like to have any closing statements or anything you want to add to that might have been needed for follow up with other questions? Go back around the loop.
Sure.
Can you explain in layman's terms the capital accounts and you look up the
Yeah, the CAFR is our financial statements. And we can't call it the CAFR anymore because it offends some groups. So it's called something else now. Yeah, so I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about. It's our financial statements. Yeah, it's our the CAFR is our financial statements. So it has all our funds, all our investments, everything. Yeah. We can talk about all offline in detail.
Thank you.
Why do you address term limits?
I'm going to probably speak for me and David. 2 terms for me. It should be 2 terms for everybody. If I can't get done what I need to in 2 terms, I shouldn't be there because then you're getting the cronyism. You're building these groups that you can't break, and that's why I know I'm trying to break it. Dave's trying to break it. So 2 terms, not the 12 years. 2 terms, 8 years. It's plenty of time.
Thank you for that. More information.
Yeah.
If the state would take off
Just quickly, because David brought that up, it sounds like you pay it. Not the people in charge now. Sounds like they pay attention to certain areas, certain groups, and they ignore the other groups. So I'm going to guess there's less people out there, so they're less concerned about that. Where I live, they have a different reason why they don't pay attention. Not everybody out there is wealthy. So I think the commissioners, the new commissioners, I don't know the old ones, will not old in age, but old in, they've been there a while, need to get out to the ranchettes and really see what's going on. I guess that's something that should go on my checklist as well. I don't know if that really answered your question, but I do think that they focus on the areas that's just going to get them in office for 4 more years so they can have their cronyism.
Before you close, I'm piggybacking on this. One thing, is that excise tax versus normal property tax. like originally talking about the excise tax versus a flat rate, whatever it might be, not including the way where you cut. You can cut the millage rate and keep it on for you, for example, which one would be more efficient.
So I'm not focusing on changing the millage rate. I'm focusing on the individual budget lines, which in turn, you'll be able to reduce the millage rate. I don't want that. Yeah. Okay. Did you? Okay, Carl.
The question I have is, do you understand and know how the charter is being constructed? You know anything about the charter?
No, somebody asked me about that.
Well, it's all appointed by the commission, so you might want to learn about that.
Yeah. It's not a constitution, right? It should be a constitution. That's what that part I do know. Yeah, I don't know about our charter currently, but it should be a constitution. Yeah, yeah, I'll look at it. Yeah. I probably don't need that. I might have a suggestion.
I have a suggestion, this follow-up, maybe that might be a good thing for the town hall. Go ahead, one more time, that might be a good question for both of you. Is that fair, maybe? For the town hall, I'll add that to my questions. We can follow up on that, I see my questions on that, before we're at. But I think it's actually the last one, that's, you are seeing.
Yeah.
If there's any movement currently to remove MFPUs, and earlier we heard Hal mention he's interested in perhaps eliminating MFPUs. Mr. Kalin Senior mentioned something about accountability being connected to MFPUs. I'll let you summarize.
Yeah. They're actually adding MSBUs. So I think there's a lot of MSBUs. Some MSBUs you need. Some should be handled differently. Again, it goes back into looking at those line item budgets. So if we can reduce some of these MSBUs, we'll have less assessments on your tax bill. Yeah, yeah, it does do that. And there's a lot of unfairness in the MSBU system right now. Any closing words? I hope I answered everybody's questions.
One more question.
Okay.
It's about Sunseeker. When 5 to 10 years from now, when that thing goes, are we the people going to have to pay for that?
I wasn't around, but it sounds like Murdoch citizens had to pay for Murdoch Village, right? I wasn't here, so I heard it was a bad deal.
I truly believe if I went to the bank, bought this big glomerate thing, and then all of a sudden it didn't go so well, I'm not going to have my neighbors pay for it. I just think that is all wrong. So what would you do to change that?
No, that's good. Ask the specific question. Ask it again.
What would you do if you were responsible when Sunseeker actually implodes, and at this point the people have to pay for it? Is there another way that the people doesn't have to pay for it, that it goes back to the owners of Sunseeker?
Yeah, I would have to think about that one. I'm not sure, honestly.
Think of that, 'cause that's
Yeah, I'd have to think about it.
You can
It shouldn't be. I do know it shouldn't be back on the citizens like Murdoch Village.
Answer that question at the town hall.
Oh,
I'll ask it
okay.
again.
Yeah, to close, like I said, I'm going to be a full-time commissioner. I have what I want to do specifically looking at the line item budgets, but on my website, you can make comments. It's got to be about what the citizens want. And I've heard a lot of great ideas already. So please go on there. Please tell your friends, your family, go on there. Let me know what you want out of your county commissioners. That's really all I want to say to close. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.